All right. Hey guys, welcome back to the African Mavericks podcast. If you're tuning in for the first time, I remain your one and only host, Chukwuebuka Nkemarkonam Stanley Wana. I simply go by Ebuka. And I want to kick off the first episode of the year by asking you a question. What happens when hip-hop, resilience, and a passion for storytelling shapes one's career? Well, you're about to get the answers in today's episode. I had the privilege of chatting with Titus Odiase, the founder and CEO of a global digital marketing company based out of Lagos, Nigeria. Our conversation was nothing short of insightful and riveting, and I can bet that you're going to get a lot of it because it's also very relatable. So without much further ado, let's dive right into the episode.
Something I like to do for to be mindful and present is I like to suggest, that we start the call with 3 deep breaths. And while we're taking those deep breaths, let us set an intention for this conversation before we start. Is that cool with you?
Sounds good.
All right. So 3 deep breaths, and while you do that, just set an intention for this conversation, how you would love the conversation to go.
Okay. Do I set that inside me?
Yeah. All right. Shall we begin?
Nice.
So, Titus, thank you so much. Thank you so much for accepting to share your story with me. We've been connected on LinkedIn for a while, and one of the things that drew me to your account was the fact that you were a copywriter. That's a skill that I feel that was the skill I got exposed to that opened my mind to a different world out there. I'll share it as we talk, but just from following your LinkedIn profile, I thought you'd be a very the post you share on LinkedIn. I thought you'd be a very awesome guest to have on the African Maverick podcast, because I appreciate the way you think. I appreciate what you post, the insightful posts you share on LinkedIn, and I would just love to share your story. So thank you again for joining the call. How I'd like to start is just share your story with me. A background of things that happened in your life that led you down to this point that you're currently in.
Okay. I would say it all began. Let me trace it all the way back from 2017. It started way before then anyway. It started way before then because I would like to trace. You mentioned copywriting, right? So it traces back to my skill in writing. And that skill, I started building on the skill since I was 15 years old. So that was way before 2017, 2018. That was way long ago. I love reading, I love writing. So it even got to the point I started writing a book when I was still a teenager. And so that skill just kind of kept growing, but even the writing part really started when because it started out of the love for music, rap music specifically. So I love rap music, so I was inspired by people like Eminem, Tupac. Those are what's his name? Nas, those are key legends. So I started building up by writing, by creating all this kind of rap music, and then started venturing into poetry, and then from poetry I started writing, doing creative writing, books and all that kind of stuff. So as time went by, this has always been something that rested with me, and I kept practicing on regular. So fast track to 2017, I started getting familiar with the internet and all of that. Started getting to know about utilizing the online platform to pass your message across. So I've always been passionate about writing about my experience, writing about things that I see around, writing about my thoughts, what I feel about certain situations. So I just wanted to like express it in a way that every other person can be a part of it, right? People around me can be a part of it, other people extensively can be a part of it. And that's when I started creating content online using Facebook. So it all started with Facebook 2017. And then I ventured into setting up a blog for myself. So that is how all of this began. And so how did the whole profession particularly start? I would now come back to 20. I mentioned 2017 and I also mentioned 2020. Well, I'll come back to 2020 and that's when it became a profession. So at the initial point, I was just sharing content, giving, just based on what I observed about certain things that I saw and that I noticed, and also about life, about how to live right. Especially because I was very, very much influenced by Christianity. I am very much influenced by Christianity, my background and all of that. So I would share this kind of knowledge about how I feel and how relevant some of those things that I learned is to our regular and daily life, right? So, and that was it at that time. And then 2018, I kind of slowed down on that. 2019, I was doing other things, getting busy with trying to get some money, right? I was working with a company and it took much of my time, so I couldn't really continue with the writing as I was at that time. Then 2020 was when the COVID came, right? And everybody was at home. It's crazy because I actually lost my job at that time. So at that point in time, it felt like everything that I had been working on, I had to start afresh, right? But mind you, I didn't mention. I'm gonna also mention the part where marketing came into play, because every single thing right now what I'm into is digital marketing. Right? So marketing came into play alongside with the writing as well, right? So when I was in school, I was doing a little business here and there, and when I finished school, I set up a poultry for myself, set up a business. When I was also in school, I was doing a bit of marketing and selling and all of that. So I had passion for it at that time. So, coming back to when I lost my job, 2020, the job I was doing, I was actually a marketer for the company, right? I was actually a business developer for the company. So, when I lost the job, I had to start over. Basically, that's what it seemed, because I had nothing on me. I started from scratch. So, I had to start searching for a job and all that. And then, it occurred to me that why don't I utilize my skill to make money, right? Because no jobs were forthcoming. There was nothing positive happening. So I said, I might need to start finding out a way to make this work, right? I said, how can I make use of my skill to make money? Because since 2017, this is what I've been passionate about. This is what I've been thinking of. I want to put my word out there, but I need to make money from it. But I didn't know how. So while I was doing my research, just doing my research here and there, I came across an article that talked about copywriting. It's like, what is copywriting and all of that? And I was like, this seems interesting. And then I got more information, more details. I delved more into it, started learning more about it, and I was like, wow, this is something I can definitely do. I mean, I'm a writer, I love writing, and I like to sell. I like to market things that I believe in and sell them. So why not combine both passion and skill and make something out of it, right? And but I was still not sure about how to make use of the copywriting skill to make money. So I started doing more research, and then I learned about LinkedIn. That you can actually come across professionals, business owners, managers, and CEOs on LinkedIn. And I was like, why not? These are the type of people that I want to meet up with and work with. Why not? It's even better if I could get in connection with them directly. LinkedIn is the best way to make it happen. So so that's how it happened. And I went on LinkedIn. I started pitching. I was just pitching, sending out information about what I do and all of that. Just just on that basic level, as a newbie on the platform, still trying to understand how it works and everything. And I was really, really serious about it. I was very passionate. I was engaging on posts. I was, commenting, posting as well and all of that. And somebody came across one of my comments and liked the way I was so the way I elaborated, the way my comment was so expository and had a lot of sense in it. And the person reached out to me. I was like, you write content? I was like, yes. Like I like the comment that you put out there. So thank you. And that was my very first client. So that's where it began, and it's from South Africa. So that's how the journey started. Started with that client, and then started getting more clients coming in from different parts of the world. And when I started getting more clients coming in, they started demanding for other things apart from just copywriting, because they wanted to get into marketing for their business. And I'm the type of person that would not want to say no, or that I can't do it. Although this is something that when you start growing older, when you start getting older in business, you start wanting to you want to niche down. But at that point in time, I wanted to learn. I wanted to like see what I could make the best use of, utilize more opportunities out there. And when I get offers that I don't know how to do certain kind of digital marketing tasks or activities, I'll be like, don't worry, I can take care of it. I started connecting with other people, both physically and offline and online. And I would tell them, how can you help me do this? And then I started doing partnerships with people that collaborating with people that were also good in various aspects of digital marketing. And so I like telling this story because it's interesting. When it just started from that way, because people ask me, how did you learn this? But I didn't really like take any course on any of these things. I started asking questions. Sometimes I'll bring them in, I'll tell them to do the job, they'll get paid for it, and then we started building up to a team, and then 2021 started looking at actually setting up agency. Somebody had told me this before 2020 that why don't you just get an agency? And I was looking at the person like, this sounds interesting, but I don't know if it's something that I'm thinking about. And 2021 we started the agency, Optically Digital Agency, and and then basically here we are. Here we are.
Thank you for such a detailed outline of how things went. I love the fact that you were proactive about figuring out a solution to your problem,
which is very important. Very important.
And you also leveraged. You had mentioned how you didn't take any course, but you learned the skills by reaching out to people and asking them for their help. But I think I kind of did you a disservice in this very beautiful story. Why do I say that? I think I limited your story by mentioning the copywriting thing. Just listening to you had given a bit of an insight to where the love for writing came. That's music, the rap legends. Can you, if you don't mind, can you take it back? Can you take the story back and maybe to your childhood days? Were there influences around you that was into writing? Maybe your parents were teachers, or just do you just take your story back to your childhood days? If maybe you can draw any correlation between something that happened at that time that led you down this love for writing, or made you someone that's proactive in solving your own problems.
Sure. So it's an interesting story because my mom is actually a teacher, so let's put that on there. She's actually she was a teacher, so she's retired now. So so she was big on words. So she would always I'm always very, very inquisitive, right? So I'm very inquisitive, and when I hear something new, I want to ask questions. And I'll be like, Mom, what does this thing mean? And she'll be like, go to your dictionary and check it, right? So she was making sure that we speak very well. So so those were very, very important things to her. But that was that wasn't a key. Those weren't key essentialities that influenced my writing. Where it all began, particularly, as I mentioned before, it started with the music, right? The love for music. So, my teenage years, I was actually living with my uncle, right? And it was kind of an overwhelming. That period of its own was it had its own downside to it, in the sense that my experience then as a child living with my uncle wasn't really something that I always want to call appealing, or that I always want to say that was a great experience. But that phenomenon at that time, the experience that I was going through, how I felt like I wasn't treated right, as one of his children, because he had two other children. And it was me and my sister, it was his two kids, and he treated us differently from the rest, right? And that kind of inspired, that kind of created a medium of expression for me, because I had to express how I felt about those things. And rap, my love for rap, why I always want to trace it to those guys, because rap music is expressive, right? It's an expressive form of music it's not the type of rap music that we have now, man, right? So the type of rap music that was there then, especially with Eminem, because I love Eminem because he was always talking about how he wasn't feeling, how he felt bad about his background, how his mom treated him, all that kind of stuff. And then, you have people like Tupac talking about how the society can be better, how things, so they were very relatable, Tupac was talking about certain situations that he was facing, although it's not family related, but he was saying these people, a particular set of people were not treated right? And it was also, it was relevant to what I was facing at that time. So I was listening to their music aggressively. Right? And so I started doing the same. I started putting my words to paper, right? I started putting pen to paper and expressing it the same way. And then when I put those words, I would rap it out as well, right? So that was a source of, that gave me a sense of purpose at that time, a sense of reason, a sense of joy, satisfaction, happiness. I believe that things were going to be awesome. Things were going to be alright. So, yeah, that was what influenced my writing at that stage, at that time.
So you can literally, thank you for sharing that. So you can literally say hip hop saved your life.
Hip hop saved my life, brother. I'm telling you, it brought me from darkness to light. People would understand it, but that's the truth, and I always like referring to it because it made a real difference in my life, because it also talked about, type of hip hop then, type of music, hip hop music that we had then was also talking about real life, day-to-day experiences, and these things matter to me because I always, my experience in living with my uncle made me to be passionate about doing right by people, treating people right, being kind. Being patient, being generous, being loving, promising myself that if I was in this position, I would do better, that kind of stuff. And yeah, so that's basically what that was. You're bringing out the side of me that I like to keep.
I love that. This, since you mentioned that the purpose behind this African Mavericks is to promote independent thinking and purposeful living amongst young Africans, right? And I feel like a way to do that is to have deep, honest, and vulnerable conversations. But I love the fact that you did not allow that period in your life to make you bitter, but rather you found a way to make lemonades out of the lemons you were given, like they say, to be cliche. I love that about that. I think that's testament to the kind of person you are, and I can relate from my own perspective. I can relate to that. So could you share with me? I know you've mentioned Eminem and Tupac as great influencers, but are there any other mentors or influencers that have been pivotal to your journey along the way?
Oh, okay. So if you're talking about back in the day, right, that early phase, there's this book I read by Ben Carson. I think it was Think Big. Yeah, I think they have been Carson. I'm still very much younger than right now. So it's actually
That's a really
shaped
good
my
one.
perspective. Yeah, it's a very fantastic book. It shaped my perspective of life by making me to believe differently from the status quo. So, for example, or see things differently from the status quo. For example, the society makes you feel that there's a level that you can get to and then you can cross, you can go beyond. But that book actually made me to believe that there's nothing that's not possible. Right? So, and apart from that, it also made me to be very much desirous and passionate for making a difference, right? Because if you trace back to his life, Ben Carson, he wasn't such a smart kid growing up. When he was much younger, when he was still in primary school, and then he started developing interest in science books and all of these things. And he started learning a lot of things that he loved eventually, and he never knew that these things were open way for him. So it created this perspective in my head that doors can open for you beyond your own expectation. So so that was a very key figure growing up in Carson in the book at that time.
I love that answer. What that tells me is you got to find, you have to find mentors however which way you can. Because just correct me if I'm wrong, just listening to you, the early childhood, having to live with your uncle and facing the treatment that you were facing there, it seems to me like that environment did not create the right physical role models or mentors that you could actually look up to. So you had to find one in a book. Is that a good?
You're very correct, because you're very correct. I had to find one in the book, and I also found some others outside, not physically, right, as you mentioned, because I wasn't having the opportunity to relate with people in that way. But there were people like Oprah at that time. There were people like I think there was one more person, but I can't remember the name. If I do, I'll let you know. But Oprah was also a key role model, because what she was doing was something that created a passion within me to make a difference in the lives of people. So she would let people see the beauty of others, and then she would also impact the lives of others. So those kind of things, when I was watching the Oprah Winfrey show, then there was a whole lot of things that it built out within me, and that kind of created a personality that I have adopted, which is what I go by even now. So where every single thing I do is intentional and it's purposeful. So I'm trying to impact lives, right? I'm trying to make a difference. I'm trying to make people's lives better. So that's because it now guides you so that eventually you can achieve the end goal of doing something that you wouldn't generally see. So people are influenced by their own selfish desires, or because they want to prove something to someone or to people. But what are we paying attention to what is really going on and how we can actually change it or change them for the better? So that's the kind of philosophy that I live by. So, and it has influenced every single thing that I do.
I love that. See, because you mentioned Oprah, I'll share this. Oprah, actually, it was through Oprah that I found, or I discovered a habit that I keep till today. I came across this maybe sometime in 2018, and it's called gratitude journaling. I was watching one of the Oprah's videos or something, and she talked about how she keeps a gratitude journal. Like every morning, she writes things that she's grateful for.
Yeah, and I think I saw that as well. I think I saw when she said something like that.
Yeah. So ever since I came across that, I came across that like, in a dark time in my life, and I would honestly say that just adopting that mindset has drastically helped my mental health. I in a year of 365 days, I can assure you that since I left that thing, I've written down at least 300 times. Every morning, I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for, no matter how big or small they are, and it's really helped to like put things in perspective for me. It's helped with improve my mental health and all that. I even share it with anybody that I get into a deep conversation with, like we're having now. I always make sure to mention that because it's helped me, particularly in my journey. But I love the fact that you are intentional about being generous to people. We live in a world where everybody, it's the lay of the land is to be selfish. What's in it for me? Not a lot of people have this mindset of just being generous. And I think with that comes a lot of challenges. So I'd like you to share maybe some significant challenges you faced along the journey, and how did you overcome those challenges?
Okay, so one of the biggest challenge, or let me say one of the challenge that I experienced from the very early stage when I would communicate. It's mostly when I would communicate this kind of mindset to people, and they would respond in a way to make it seem like, what are you doing, right? So, you are not. Is it that you're not seeing what's going on? Every guy, go find how you say make sort things. So you get what I'm trying to say. So it's the issue was the mindset was it's not something that is like at that point, right? I noticed that people around, I had to start changing myself. There was people around me at that time that were very short-sighted, not vision-driven as they should have, or as I was, and they were thinking short-term. They were not thinking about the impact that it can make. It can even bring more value to them than them thinking about what they can get at that moment, right? So that was a big challenge for me. So it now had to be that because there were some times where certain things that people that are close to you, when they say certain things to you, it make you feel like you don't know what you're doing. So it becomes a problem if you start taking it into perspective, or you start taking it into you and start relating it to yourself as if it were real. But then I figured that I had to start distancing myself from those type of people and start associating people that could relate with what I was, the kind of way I think about life, the way I see life. And it's I would like to come back to that 2021, right? It was very, very tough for me, because of family. I would have my relatives asking me questions like, "What are you doing? Go and get a job," and why is it that you have chosen to go in this path? It's not going to be easy. It's tough. Do you think you have what it takes? Do you know what you're doing? Go and do it. Go and follow the path like everybody else. Get a job, and then you build yourself, and from there you can start thinking about. But I wasn't fazed by it, because right from my early days, I was passionate about building something by myself in a way that I wanted it, so that I can customize it and give the kind of value that I wanted to give, the way I wanted to give. So, for example, if you are working for a person, there is a limit to what you can do and the kind of value you can give people. You know what I'm trying to say? So, but when you are independent, you're doing your own thing, you can say, this is the kind of value I want to give people, and this is how I want to give out this is how I want to give value. Right? So I've always been passionate about having my own stuff, like setting up my own business, having an organization of myself. I remember when I was in college, and we're doing I did law, A-level in law, right? So one of my coursemates at that time, we're all doing law, But I will tell him that, don't worry, you know what will happen in the future. I'll have my own business and you'll be my lawyer. You know, that's what I told him. So I wasn't even thinking about practicing law or any of those things. I was thinking of setting up my own stuff, and because I felt that when I can set up my own stuff, I can impact people the way that I want to impact them, right? So I don't have to be restricted or limited by an organization or by, you know, being a part of, you know, a company or any of that, or anything of that nature. So these were the challenges at that time. So when I had people come around and make it seem like I don't know what I'm doing, it now started feeling like, you know, I started questioning myself. But I'll always remind myself about my why. So my why is always what brought me back to keep going. Apart from my whys, it's also the testimonies, right? The experiences, the journey, the testimonies, what I've been able to, what I can say in the process. This is what has actually happened. So if it can happen like this, it can even be much more better. So the testimonies, the good side of things, plus my why is what just kept me going.
I love that. It seems like my understanding of your story so far, the major challenge you've had to deal with is not dulling your shine to make the people around you feel comfortable or to just conform with the mindset of the people around you, or rather, you know, reminding yourself that there's something in you that wants more and it's bigger than your present situation. Is that a?
Of course, yes, that's good.
Yeah, I love that. Do you mind sharing your why? Is this something that you've written down, and can you share that with me? What is your why?
I can. Let me pull it up.
Okay. Oh, I love that. It's written down somewhere.
It's actually written down. So it's interesting because I joined this community, right? It's you know, when you're talking about gratitude, it just reminded me of this community I joined online. And what we do is it's also like accountability. We also do something. We also do kind of this. It's also more almost like accountability partnering. You know, so I had the opportunity to partner with some folks that, or have conversation with some folks that would share their whys, and when they want to share their why, they'll be like, let me, okay, I have that written down, let me just read it out. And they will read it so passionately, and I was like, wow, you know, I should really say, I should write my why as well. My why is to make a real impact that can be felt across the world, to improve the lives and businesses of individuals by helping them market what they offer and achieve their goals, to recognize the quality, delivery, and empathy, to live in abundance so I can help people in need, provide for my family, and give my children yet unborn the best life. To lack nothing and experience the beauty of life in its fullness, to be limitless and achieve what I desire according to God's will. And there's quite a number of things there, you know. So there is the general why, and then there's also the present. But yeah, that's just basically what I just read.
Okay, two things that stuck out to me is the abundance, to live in abundance. That's something I buy into. That's a mindset I buy into, and I think just listening to you, that's the kind of mindset that allows you to be generous. And a lot of people, from my personal experience, a lot of people are not walking around with that abundant mindset where there's enough to go around. The second part, as you said, according to God's will, the God that orchestrated this world is limitless. That means there's limitless opportunities, there's limitless, you know, things to go around. It's just, can you tap into that mindset and operate from that mindset? So I just wanted to highlight those two things, and I love your why, by the way, from one generous brother to another.
I like that. Thank you.
So, besides giving yourself a pep talk, how do you handle setbacks and failures as you strive to live purposefully?
mean, the truth is, besides giving myself pep talks, I actually currently have a mentor that I would speak to about certain things that I feel down about, right? Whether it's related to business or personal life. That's aside the pep talk, right? So, and I also like to. It's a beautiful thing to have other people in the same industry, not just only the same industry, but are also entrepreneurs like you, also thriving, putting in effort, also going through the journey, going through various phases like you. And then when you can speak with them, and then you can also see what they are doing, it inspires you, it motivates you to get up and still keep going. It's amazing when you can have other people experiencing similar things that you are experiencing, still pushing and still constantly going. Okay, so it's that reminds you that the journey is not always going to be smooth, but it's a marathon, right? So you cannot. It's continuous. It's continuous regardless. So that drive, when you have those kind of people around, when you have them around you physically, when you have them in your online community, when they are content creators like you, or and you can see all of that stuff, you are motivated to also keep going, because it gives you that drive, it gives you a reason to keep continuing. Right, so that's basically it. So mostly my mentor, my family. When I remember my family, I think about the fact that they are cheerleaders. They're my cheerleaders, right? They believe in me so strongly, right? So it's enough that when you talk on the phone with them, and all they can say is, we believe in you. Right, so it reminds you that you have what it takes, and then you also have a partner in your life. My fiance, she's awesome, so she also reminds and motivates me and encourages me when there are occasions where I feel like setbacks, things are not going where I want them to go. And I have quite a number of I'm blessed with good people around me, to always interact with. I can ask them how are they handling this type of stuff, right? And they can tell me that it's one of those things. That's just the beautiful thing about life, having good people around you that can motivate you.
I love that. That's very necessary. Something that in line with that, I've come to realize that it also helps you step out of this victim mentality where you feel like it's only you going through that problem. When you see that people that are even more successful than you are face that same problem, and this was how they were able to handle it. Or even people that are going through worse situations than you are not whining about that problem that you're having, and it gives you perspective. So yeah. Yeah.
Especially with those that are even more successful than you are, and then they're talking about these things, and it's so related. It's so relatable, right? It's so relatable to your own personal experience. And you're like, oh wow, this person faces this too, right? So it gives you a reason to just believe that regardless, it doesn't mean the end of the world, right? Regardless, your life will still shine eventually. So just keep doing what you do. That's just what it is, right?
Yeah, love that. Yeah. So like I said earlier, the whole premise of African Mavericks at this point, our why is to promote independent thinking and purposeful living amongst young Africans, right? So I'm saying that again because the next set of questions I'm about to ask you revolve around those topics. So first of all, how would you define purposeful living or living purposefully?
And it's funny because when you talk about purposeful living, there is there used to be usually a general perspective to it, and then you could have various other things around it, and people might say that this is not what it means, this is what it means. But how can you live purposefully if you don't really know why you're here, right? So that's the first question that we all need to ask ourselves for us to be able to understand what purposeful living is. So, purposeful living is basically being carried and being carried by having that essence, being carried by purpose. Purpose is what defines everything of what you do. Right? So, but then if you have a general perspective of what purpose is without knowing in depth what it really means individually to you, it might be difficult. What it actually means to me individually, right, comes from understanding of life itself, like why am I here, right? So my own belief of my reason for being here is to actually, let's look at it this way. Now, if I say impact, like might sound general, right? But what are you unique for, right? So that's the first thing, right? So what are you unique for, and then how can you use what you're unique for to actually help people, right? So basically, for me as an individual, my own purpose, right, is to actually make a real difference that can be truly felt. I know I said it in my why as well. To make a real difference that can be truly felt, but it doesn't have to be materially. Let's look at the likes of what's his name, Nelson Mandela, right? He has purposeful living. Because first of all, you have to look at what's unique to you, and then you have to look at what is lacking in the environment. And then you also have to look at what solution you can provide. So when you are living for just the sake of living, then you are not living purposefully. But when you are living to actually provide solutions that can be truly felt, right? That is purposeful living to me. But it has to be unique to who you are as a person. So it doesn't necessarily have to be that you can use any means, any way whatsoever, depending on your uniqueness and what you carry, your capacity, your skill, what you do, and who you are. So purposeful living is using what you have, the skill, the capacity that you have to actually provide solutions to problems that are real problems. Not just the ones that but real problems that it's around you. We can look around us, we see real problems in our society, among our people, right? So when we can actually use what we have to make a real difference, it doesn't have to be that we have to shape the whole world, but then we're making real difference that people around us can feel. That is purposeful.
I love that answer. If I could summarize it, just so that I'm on the same page with you, is first of all understanding who you are and using that to address the question of why you are here. And I think the why, from your answer, the why has to do with solving a problem that is a real problem that exists.
Real problems, yes.
Okay, I love that. How would you say your daily actions are aligned with your larger purpose, or this your why, basically?
So I mean, personally, it's crazy because sometimes when I talk about like what I envision or what I want to do or what kind of impact I want to make, people say this guy is thinking too big or too far. This guy is crazy. So, but me,
this is a safe space to express yourself. This is a safe space to express yourself. So,
where I'm coming from is actually that currently right now, it's in my every single activity. But what I'm doing is like a means. This is what I'm doing right now is like a means to an end. It's not even. There is no there is not. There's no like right now. The tip. You can't even. You won't even be able. It's just like a tip of the iceberg. It's not even close to the plan. Right. Right. So, but right now it's like a means to an end. Right. The journey to achieving the goal. So what is the journey? It's basically structuring my processes in my business with regards to my clients, my employees, with regards to those that see me as an individual, as a business, as a brand, as a person, how they relate me to what can they explain when they see me, what can they say about me, those type of things. So every single bits and pieces of my actions, my business, and the systems, the processes that I set and I put in place, right? I have to make sure that they are directed towards the goal, which is to truly help people, right? In whatever you're doing, right? So if for example you're as a business, as a digital marketing agency, what am I in business for? What am I in business to do? Right? What are my goals? Am I trying to just make the money, or am I trying to make you as an individual? Am I trying to make your life better? Or as an employee, am I trying to assert authority over you, or am I trying to make you someone that can feel free with me as an individual and express yourself, and then go on and set up your own business? So by the end of the day, the goal is to empower others, right? It's to empower others in large scale, not just business owners or regular folks. Why do I have people working with me? It's not just because I need them to support the work I'm doing, but also so that they can empower themselves, and then they can go ahead and set up their own businesses, so that they can actually believe in themselves, and also that they can actually see life from a better perspective. Because if, for example, they are working with me, they can relate with me as a friend. But if they're working with somebody else, it might not be the same thing. So every single activities, every single thing that I do, my processes, my communication and interaction with my clients, all of those build up to empowering them. So the goal is to actually empower people to larger scale. And so it starts with my communication, my interaction, my delivery, the quality that I deliver, and how I relate with people around me, the staff and all of that. So it's just my basic interaction and the systems and processes of my day-to-day operations with the business and my own personal interaction with individuals.
There's this emphasis on helping people and impacting people and empowering people that I'm getting from you. It's like a very people-oriented person.
I mean, the thing is, what are we here for, right? We're here for ourselves, right? Not just like what I mean by we're here for ourselves. We're here to help each other, to raise each other up, right? Africa on its own. I like what you're doing. I have to tell you, because there was a time that I was thinking about setting up a venture capital, right? But so you smile because you're like that's huge, right?
No, it's interesting you say that, because I smile because that's an idea that you just wrong in my head. I'm like, okay, maybe we can talk about this after the call.
I mean, we should definitely do that, right? Because and I like what you're doing, because truly, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. Actually 2020 drafted something called emancipation of the African youth. So it is where the whole idea of empowerment. I mean, it has been there for a while now, So it has been there for a while now. because let's be real with ourselves. We have everything. We have all the natural resources in our nation, in our continent, right? We have the human resources. We have all of those things that are required to be a first world country, to be a world power, right? To be a developed country. But there's a lot of backwardness. So I'm always looking at the bigger picture. But of course, starting from a very small, where I am, my environment, starting small. Let's look at talk about business, small business owners, or let's talk about like the youths out there that don't have anything to do, they don't have jobs, right? After they graduate, and you see them roaming the streets and all of that. So my thought process is always directed towards that. That's why abundance needs to come into play, so that you can have enough to give. But it's not just giving in cash or giving in, no, but actually creating opportunities, creating opportunities for them to actually have their own. So you can have that abundance where you can set up companies and these people come in and they work and get paid good money, and then they share their ideas, and then they get creative with it, and then we build other, companies are springing up, right? Ideas are coming to life. All that kind of other creativity is not just going outside our nation. It's within. It's being utilized within. So it's pretty broad. It's pretty wide. If I start going into all of that right now, you might start asking yourself. You might start asking yourself if So that's just basically it. So it's just to actually how can we raise each other up? How can we make Africa? How can we make Nigeria better? How can we prove to the rest of the world that we are more than enough, right? Or that we have what it takes. And it's not about proving it to them in their own country, but doing it here, right? So that's why I'm always talking about empowerment, empowering the youth, empowering the people, empowering business owners, creating opportunities for them to be who they really are. But society has kind of made us to hide or kind of suppressed our capacity or how far we can go.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I will share this because I think it segues into the next question I was going to ask. But one of the thoughts I have about, I don't know if this is maybe an unpopular or popular opinion, but something from living here in the States, and just moving around, one thing, I just study of history. One thing I've come to realize is that Africa, we are where we are today because of the narrative we've been force-fed. We've been force-fed to focus on lack. We've been force-fed to see each other as, as the enemies, instead of having that spirit of unity and solidarity, which the white man, let me put it that way, they have that on this side. Like first and foremost, they see themselves as a unit. First of all, they see themselves as a unit, and from there they operate. I think one thing that you said that really resonated with me is that this empowerment and change that needs to come, it's not to prove anything to anyone, but rather just for ourselves, to empower ourselves and reach the capacity that we all know we are capable of. Yeah. So we'll definitely continue this conversation offline at Rock Minds, because I'm getting the vibe. You're just a visionary person as I am, and a big thinker as I am. So yeah.
That's why I said I like what you're doing. That's why I said I like what you're doing.
Oh, by the way, thank you for that. I did not that's escaped my mind to say that, but thank you. I appreciate that a lot. This is an idea that I've sat on since 2015, and I was trying to convince God, like, yo, are you sure it's me?
I'm going to ask him, are you sure I'm the right person to have this kind of thoughts?
Like, since 2015. So when it comes to, I say this, I say this as a joke, but I'm very intimate with myself now. Like I know myself now very well, and that's whenever I'm having a conversation with somebody and they bring that up, I'm always eager to give some insights on that, because that's something I've battled with over the years, and I've had chat wins here and there, but that's conversation for another day.
I mean, definitely. But it's always like that, ups and downs. So.
Very true. So when it comes to you from your story, you come across as somebody that thinks independently. Like you are not easily swayed by the mindset of the environment you're in, but rather you try to figure out your identity in that environment and move according to that. So that said, what does independent thinking mean to you?
As I think I mentioned, I made a statement about that one time during our conversation. It just basically means not being influenced by the status quo. That is, and not being a victim. I think a lot of us are victims of our societal. There is that narrative that tends to spread with each season. So each season has its own narrative that spreads, or it could be at a certain time there's something that goes viral and everybody wants to jump on it, everybody wants to do it, and then people like me that are the weird ones that I'm like thinking differently. I'm like, what difference, what impact is that going to really make? So it's basically questioning the things that are quickly accepted, or the things that are easily or regularly usually done by everyone. It's basically saying that if the crowd is going this way, I need to figure out what might be on this other side that the crowd might be missing, because following the crowd actually gets you to miss out from the realities of who we should be as human beings, right? So thinking independently is questioning what we see around us, questioning the realities that are posed to us, asking ourselves questions like, how can my action right now truly make a difference? Or what use is this particular thing that everybody is jumping on? Right? It's actually seeing things that people refuse to see, not because they are physically blind, but because they've chosen to be short-sighted or limit their reasoning, limited their reasoning to just a particular thing, or their goal of life. Let's say for example, is this whole thing about, when I get to a certain age I have to get married. Of course that's different, but I'm just saying that this is an example. But this is not the example that I'm going to use for myself, because I need to get married before I get older than this.
I was about to say you have reached that certain age where you have to get married.
So I'm not going to use that example, but I know you get what I mean, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just you choosing to do things differently from everybody else and question certain things that everybody else wants to do, and then try to look the other way when everybody else chooses to look this way. Right? Try to figure out what's on the other side of this.
Okay.
So that's for me, that's a big thing.
I love that answer. I love the answer. This is just based on the different conversations I've had. There seems to be a truth about independent thinking that I missed where this whole idea came to me, my whole thing was rebellion. You know, it was just to rebel against, not rebellion from a violent or an antagonistic perspective. You know, but just
not giving in
if people are going this way, I'm just going to go this way just because. You know, and I've come to that perspective is changing with every conversation, because I'm coming to see the truth in the fact that in thinking independently, you have to first of all truthfully analyze the current situation, see what is going on, so that you can come up with an independent thought that may or may not be in opposition with what the current lay of land is.
So that's where you question it. So ask those questions like, what is important about it? Is this something that I should be a part of or not? So
And I think that's why you independently thought about things and you're like, okay, I think it's time for me to get married.
Exactly. So so it's not just being rebellion and saying no because everybody else is jumping on it. I'm not going to jump on it. I have to jump on it.
You've given it some thought.
Enough thought, yes.
Okay, so, and ask the right questions and all that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you give an example, personal or within your business ventures over the years, as of a time when an independent thought that you had led to like an innovative solution or a unique solution? So I was just going to ask, can you give me a time when an independent thought you had, maybe in a personal story or in your business life, where an independent thought you had led to an innovative or unique solution or perspective on things?
No, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say there is any particular one right now that specifically stands out as innovative. But the thing is, it was a thought process that I was having, that I still have currently. Although I'm still thinking about right now, a digital product that's entirely different from what I was thinking about in 2020. But then, when regards to an independent thought that led to an innovative solution, I would say it was my desire. I wouldn't say it might not stand out by per se, but me choosing to set up an agency with the kind of process and standard that is, I would say, equal to some of the agencies in the US. It's because I'm big on processes and systems, right? So the customer is coming through to us. We created a seamless process that we can make sure that connect with us, but not there are some other agencies that have seamless processes, but they might not be very professional, right? But the way we set ours up made it up to standard. That's why it allows us to have certain kind of clients that, I would say, are pretty quality clients. Most of our clients are not Nigerians. Most of our clients are overseas, in the US, in Europe. So that is that, but I would say an independent thought, and there are various type independent thoughts that came along. Except maybe if I start tracing it back to maybe my school days. But one that's actually because there's a lot of times that I will be thinking about I've had too many ideas, but I'm not taking steps on many of them. So, but the confidence or the guts to actually shift the business or move it from the copywriting phase, as a freelancer, going into copywriting, going into freelancer, then setting up an agency, then becoming a digital marketing agency that provides solutions to companies. So that's just basically it right now. There is no particular innovative one that I might be able to point out to you at the moment, except the one that is still in my head, which is the venture capital. I know that we don't have a proper standard venture capital. Don't compare what is going on. Many of the tech founders, tech companies that we have in Nigeria, they go to Silicon Valley to get funding. That kind of fund out. So, but
I'll challenge.
I have this. Right.
No, I was going to say I'll challenge that way of thinking. The venture capital space in Nigeria particularly is making some strides, and not to say I agree with you when you say most of the funding still comes from the West. However, when it comes to like companies that are running venture capital firms in Nigeria, and Nigeria is actually playing pivotal roles in funding tech companies, particularly in Nigeria and Africa. Man, that space is there's a lot of
there's a lot of guys in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. Everybody's running towards that. So back to what you said about as everyone is going this way, I think with the venture capital thing is understanding what everyone is looking at and what is in the other direction. Yeah. But even just think to your answer, an independent thought led you to a unique solution that you're running right now, because you could have just kept on with this freelancing, first of all to jump into the freelancing game from you having a love for writing and expressing yourself. I would say it took an independent thought to come up with that unique solution, or take that unique initiative. Then even not just stopping there, but actually evolving that into the business that it is today. I think that's if you're comparing it to what's out there, it may not look innovative, but in your own personal story, I think that's an innovative solution that you give.
Thank you for that. That's a compliment.
I meant it as such. And I wanted you to be. I intentionally did that so that you can become aware of that, because one thing I've noticed from my own personal journey is that because we are in it and it maybe became so easy for us, we may not see how amazing it is to other people. Yeah. So I take a note to, like I told you, I'm very intimate to myself now, so I can see when it shows.
I like the fact that you mentioned that, because that's very important. That's the mistake that some of us make, right? Because we have this, we have this vision, we have this dream, and that's huge. And because we know that we have not really made that pivotal action or change or something that is very, very revolutionary. But we don't see it as something very, very special. We don't want to take it as something essential we don't relate it to, you get what I'm trying to say. Sometimes we want to undermine what it is. Well, it's good that you pointed that out, because it's important for us to bring those things into light. Every single achievement, every single milestone that we're able to make and achieve.
Yeah.
To recognize that it's something huge.
Yeah, and something that came to mind as we were talking now is a few conversations I had with Desi. She's one of the co-founders of Apple. It's a fintech in that started. They have a base in Enugu. And one of the things she mentioned to me, or she brought to my awareness, was this Bible verse I always used to quote. But I used to quote just the first part. But she brought my awareness to the second part of it. And I think it's Zechariah. I'll share it to you after the call, but it says, "Do not despise the days of humble beginnings." That's the part I used to stop at. But the next part says, "For the Lord delights in seeing a work begin." Sorry, let me repeat that. "Do not despise the days of humble beginnings, for the Lord delights in seeing a work begin." The Bible did not say, the Bible is very purposeful, and it did not say the Lord delights in seeing a business hammer or a business blow up. It says the Lord delights in seeing something begin. So when you begin it, that's what delights God.
Starting phase.
That's what delights God.
I had no idea of that. You have to send me that verse.
I will. And I think I shared it to one of my previous posts a couple of days. But yeah, I will definitely send it to you after the call. So yeah, how do you back to independent thinking, right? How do you encourage that? Because I've heard you've expressed that you work with a team, you have people around you that you that mentor you as well as you mentor. So are you intentional about encouraging or empowering people to think for themselves, to question what they are seeing? Is that something you're intentional about doing, and how do you go about doing that?
Of course, I would like, let me start with those that I don't like to call them employees, I like to call them my team members. So the thing is, whenever we have there's a project, right? What I like to do is to let those that are responsible for that project, that are involved in that project, to go ahead and just figure it out on their own without even getting an explanation. I'm not going to have any strategic discussion with you. I'm not going to look at it with you. Especially, I did this particularly with an intern. I was very intentional with this intern, right? So, he came on board to learn digital marketing. But here he is reaching out and he's like, "How do I do this? How do I do this?" And I'll be like, "I'd like for you to just figure out a way to get across, to get through to it, to get a solution to the problem." And he'll be like, "It's okay, so is it that I will do it this way because I think everybody else is doing it?" So I will tell him, "No, that's not what I want from you. I want you to look at this thing as though it was something that was already existing, but we can change it, we can make it better than it already is, right? So figure out what might be missing in the other things that have been done, or the other ideas, or the other solutions that have been used. Figure out what might be missing, and figure out a better solution. I know that you have it in you. Or for example, we try a strategy or try an approach and it doesn't work. I'll be like, be independent with your thought. Think about it differently from the way it's already been set up. There are already practices that have been done, marketing practices that how do I put it now? Processes that have already been set up that you should follow, advices and all that kind of stuff, right? So I'd rather advise that this is the approach strategy that you should use, this is what you should do. But then you try, it doesn't work. So what do? Do you now just give up on it? No, you have to find a way. And now you have to think differently from what has already been set up, what you already have out there. Right? So I like to communicate this kind of thinking to everybody on the team. And my own thought process is that there has to be an answer, there has to be a way around this. Right? It is very possible because nothing is impossible, right? So you have to figure out a way to make it work. Then when you ask me, what do I have in mind? I'll be like, tell me about what I have in mind. I want to hear what you have to say about this and share it with you. Another thing is, if I say something that doesn't sound reasonable to you, or you have an idea that's even better, say it to me freely. let's have that interaction as though we're friends. I don't want you to be like I'm the one instructing you and telling you what to do, and then you just do it. You can come up with an idea and tell me, and then I'll be like, wow, I didn't really do that. That's what I want, because I want innovation. I want creativity. I want independence of thoughts, independence of activities. Just do your thing. That's the kind of environment that allows for everybody to feel free to think for themselves. I don't want to think for you and tell you what to do. So that's that. And also with whoever I interact with, So when I'm sharing my own opinion, I like to share my own opinion. You don't tell me something that because everybody else is saying it. What do you really think, or how do you really feel about this? Right? So those are the kind of things that also in interaction with you, with people on a daily basis. My friends, my colleagues, my fiancé, even my mentor, because he taught me that kind of mindset. I mean, it's not like he taught me. He encourages me to do that, because he noticed it in me the way I interact with him. I will challenge him sometimes and question his own idea. I'll be like, this is not how it has to be. I mean, you'll be like, wow, this doesn't I like it, because every other person that if I tell them this, they will just take it to heart. They will just accept it as I've told them. They will not question me, or they will not take it their own. So you have to have freedom of expression, be able to share your opinion, share your thoughts. This is my lifestyle.
This is your lifestyle. I like that. So let's talk about some insights and lessons. What would you say has been the most valuable lesson or lessons you've learned on your journey?
Key lessons I've learned on my journey is that as long as you don't give up, progress is inevitable. Right? Progress is inevitable as long as you don't give up. Don't be hesitant, or don't limit yourself to your environment or to society. And don't be, when it comes to learning, open your mind to learning. Be inquisitive, be expressive, ask questions, figure out solutions that may have not been set or put in place. Also, first, as a business, what I've really learned is that have a flexible, as much as you have a flexible way of doing things, also be flexible with it. Because the mistakes that people make is that they believe that being flexible means you are reaching. But that's not true. That could affect your business. So the business person, when you have your own systems and processes, you have structures and you're very set and put in place. So your interaction and your relationship with whoever you're relating with, whether your clients or your staff or whoever you're interacting with, make sure that they can see you as someone that can feel free. It's easier for them to talk to other people about you. And the first work that you do, try to make sure that it's good. Try to make sure that your delivery, the first opportunity that you have, is good enough for you to attract you. Growth should have a good mindset. Just think about what can you add. It doesn't have to be something huge. Just little things that you can add to what you already have. Step you.
You've shared about 5, maybe 6 lessons, and I wasn't expecting anything less. you come across as someone that is very intentional about, and I think, correct me, maybe this would be a stretch, but just tying this back to your story about your early childhood, where you were, for lack of a better term, maltreated by your guide uncle. I think that is one of the key, would I say, moments or the key experiences in your life that made you very, would I say, watchful? Let me put the word watchful. And the reason why I said this, I read this book recent. I mean, maybe not recent, maybe like a year ago. It's called Emotional Intelligence. Before I read that book, my understanding of emotional intelligence was being able to read the room and, being a social, being able to be, social and yeah. But after reading that book, I had a different understanding of what emotional intelligence is. It's all those things go into play, but emotional intelligence, from my understanding, is the experiences that made you who you are and how you interact with the world. So why do I say that? They talked about kids that were bullied in their early childhood. Those kids ended up being kids that were, would stay to themselves. But people from the outside will look at them as antisocial. But if you go and have a conversation with that person will be able to tell you who in the room is going through this, who to go and meet if you have a question about.
Very true.
So it's
because
like
they're very observant. They're observing and stuff because while they're quiet, they're taking notes.
Yeah. I think you come across as someone like that to me. Maybe it's a stretch, but I see you as someone that you're very watchful of your environment, not just physical environment, but like mental environment too.
Yes. Very true. So while we are conversing, and I noticed that you might be thinking backwards. I'm not going to distance myself from you per se, but I might then realize that I'm human, that it might not be regular, but maybe the conversation that we're having will now be around certain things. Maybe even if I'm trying to better you, but you get what I'm trying to say. So of course, you are very right. It varies, right? It depends, and I'm very selective. So it just has to be very intentional. In many
like that.
Most occasions.
Like that. So let's now go into perspective change, right? How was your perspective on something that you felt so deeply about? Like you were like, this has to be how the way the world works in regards to this particular thing. But based on the lessons you've learned so far, the experiences you've had, your perspective has shifted or is shifting around that topic.
Very, very. This is a very good question.
Thank you. That's the first one I've gotten.
No, all of your questions were awesome. No, don't mind.
Don't mind me.
Okay,
Don't mind me. I'm just fishing for compliment. Don't mind me.
No, all of the questions were awesome. Honestly, very, very quick, very, very key, sensitive questions, I would say.
Thank you.
But this particular one, right? This particular one, when I was telling you about interaction with certain people, and they tend not to be seeing things the way I expect them to be seeing things, right? So that would now make me to start seeing them from a lesser perspective. But it started changing with time. When you start getting older and things, that you start understanding that people act the way they do because of their own unique experiences. To a good extent, right? So a good extent. So their experience sometimes determines to a good extent how they behave. Apart from that, also their knowledge, right? And even some of the things that you also say to these people, some of them have been this passionate, but then something happened along the way, which is why I said their unique experiences can influence how they think. So certain experiences that will now change how they saw life, and then start acting differently. And when you talk to them, they're like, what they're talking about is, they're like, why are you talking like this? But they were actually thinking like you before. But something happened along the way, and then they started thinking different. So it now that shift now came when I started understanding that you don't necessarily need to have if you don't see certain things that you expect from people, right? It shouldn't make you to see them less than they are, or want to keep away. There are ways that your interaction or your relationship with that person will bring out that side, that beautiful side that they might be suppressed, they might be right. And also the interaction with you can also make you see life differently, because it's always good when you interact with people that don't think like you, because then you can see life from where they are coming from, right? So when you're able to see life from where they are coming from, you can relate to them in a better way, and then you can also see what if maybe for someone that's coming up, what can you do to stop that kind of situation from happening? For example, a lady that's been raped, when she was a teenager, when she was younger, there's a way she would feel around. There's a way she might behave. There's a personality that she might adopt. There's a way she might be around men. Right? But then, when you understand that, you can relate to them differently. Then you can see what you can do to avoid these things from happening to other younger ladies. So that shift came around when I started to look at everybody else's processes and thought patterns and how they feel. It was very related. It's related to experience, knowledge, and so this changed my worldview entirely. And the truth is, people have been beaten down, and a lot of people have given up their passion, their dreams, their goals. A lot of people are, when they were younger, they really were inspired and ambitious and all that. But the society kind of changed all of that for them, right? And made them to start thinking less of themselves. And as a result, that shaped how they behave, who they become. So should that now make me start thinking about who they are? No. Because there is a side of them that is suppressed. Which side of them? That's when God created the world. He saw that it was good. So everything that God made is good. So so basically that was it.
Hey, I think I lost you for a second there. I think I lost my internet.
Once I saw that
out as well.
Okay, once I saw that you froze, I just stopped it. But that's it. I was already done anyway.
I agree with that perspective change, and I appreciate it from a personal standpoint, because something that a lesson that I feel life has been trying to teach me, particularly since COVID, is that you can't expect you from other people. Meaning that, like, just in line with what you were saying, because you have this, dream to make an impact, does not mean that everybody has that same dream. And you cannot be judging them for not having that same dream, because they are So it's just being able to appreciate and just meet people wherever they are in their journey. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that answer. Let's now go into some questions about the impact you want to leave, the vision you have for Africa as a whole, you personally, Nigeria and Africa as a whole. But before we go into that, this is your time to plug in your what you do with OptiClick. Can you tell us about your agency and
Sure.
this?
Okay. So OptiClick Digital Agency, we are an agency that helps businesses to achieve their marketing goals. Right. So we help small, medium businesses, small and medium scale businesses, we help startups, not businesses that are struggling to get products or their services out there that are trying to get in front of their customers, that are trying to sell, make a lot more sales. Businesses that are finding it difficult to reach their target audience, or that don't know how to structure their messaging in a way that it can appeal to their target audience so that they can attract them. So we help these businesses through content marketing, social media marketing, email marketing, pay-per-click, and also web design and optimization. So right from the web design aspect, so you're trying to put yourself out there as a business, you're trying to get online, get that online presence. The online presence will help you do that. If it's to be able to connect your target audience, will help you do that. If it's to be able to get in front of your customers, will help you do that. If you to be able to retain your customers, it can help you do that. If it's also to be able to generate leads, it can help you do that. So everything around achieving your marketing goals and getting more sales will help businesses to achieve.
Okay, awesome. I was just looking at y'all's website. I think it's a clean website, very clean design.
We're going to be making some changes to it. We're trying to update it
at this stage, it's always improvement, right? There's always room for improvement. But I think it's a clean website. I also like the color scheme, the brown and orange. Was there any what influenced that decision? Are you proud of brown and orange, or you went to study marketing, psychology, and color psychology?
It's funny. It's funny, right? It was after we set up the brand and everything that I realized that yellow is actually a very strong, amazing color, right? When it comes to marketing, when it comes to branding. The thing is, that was not even something that we thought out or that we thought through when we were setting up the brand or trying to create what the brand should look like. I just told my developer, let's design a website, and this guy came up with these templates and the design. I loved it when I saw it. I was like, wow, how did you know to select this kind of color and all of that? And that's how we went ahead and created our logo around it. It was the web designer that did it. I'm telling you. So there was nothing special around the color. There was nothing particular. We're not specific about choosing that. Well, the only thing we're specific about choosing was the name optically, right? But when I saw the designer, web designer,
maybe it was the designer that knew the psychology of our colors, and you.
Maybe it was. I thought about it. I was like this guy knows that this is the color I should go with.
Okay.
And I love it when I enjoy it.
So let me ask now,
and it's funny because at that time, I said it's funny because at that time we had not even gotten a name for the brand. That time I had a partner, so we're trying to figure out how to fuse our names together to form the name of the brand. So we're just putting things together at that time, and so it was later and we figured out the name, and then we got the logo and then we put it out there.
Typical Nigerian, or well, which is actually let me say, like I
think it applies to almost every startup like that. We just no plan towards the idea per se. We just put something there and they start building up from there.
Yeah, but I was gonna say about the names. I was gonna make fun of the fact that you guys were trying to use your names, merge your names. But from my understanding, my study of business is most of these global brands are actually people's names.
Yeah, like Johnson & Johnson, right?
Honda, Yves Saint Laurent,
Exactly.
All these names are actually people's names. So it's like,
But I was glad we didn't go with the names, the fusing of the name. It wouldn't have made would have gone well. So
Please, what were the ideas? Just curious, what were the ideas that you guys came up with?
Oh man, his name is Mark and my name is Titus, right? So
Tight Mark.
we wanted to do Mark T.
Okay, yeah.
not it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound techy at all. It doesn't sound like it sounds like one of those, like a snack. Like one of these snacks.
Yeah. Hi. So yeah, thanks for sharing about your company, OptiClick, digital agency, and just from your personal story, I'm sure the businesses that you help, I'm sure there is that whole mindset of helping that, you know, that you founded your business of how do I put it? What's the word I'm looking for? One of the core values of your business is obviously helping people. So good luck with that. Wish you continued success. As we keep the communication lines open, we'll definitely figure out a way to work together. You know, if life permits, or as life permits. Yeah. So, how would you say your personal story and what the things you intend to achieve, maybe through business ventures, maybe through investment opportunities, how do you see that intersecting with the larger African narrative? Is that something you've thought about? You know?
Yeah, of course. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, I mentioned initially that my own thing was I wanted to have my own structure, my own business, for the purpose of giving value the way that I wanted to give value. Right? To not be limited by by any organization, right? To be able to give value as much as I wanted. And that applies to also, I've said it time and time in this conversation, it applies to helping the regular folks, helping young folks, right? So, you know, unemployed folks to get employment, right? So the business is it's the reason why right now what the business is about is the reason why it's centered around making an impact is because the goal eventually is to be able to employ as much labor as possible. You know what I'm trying to say? Mm-hmm. Right? So that is how it's that's how it plays into the vision itself, right? The main goal itself, right? Which is to actually be able to empower others by employing labor, creating opportunities for others to actually be able to do the same. So the inspiration is when you can set up this and also inspire others to set up the same thing or even do better, right? So the goal is to be able to get as much employed people that we can get. Of course, this is not just what the business is going to be about in the future. So, of course, we're going to be looking at subsidiaries, right? This is just one of the many businesses that we hopefully, the God permits, right? One of the many businesses that will be created to open doors of opportunities for those that don't have the privilege or the opportunity to be who they want to be, right? To be able to actually gain employment, become something, create businesses for themselves, and actually make impact. So the end result or the end goal is to be able to create opportunities for those that are lacking at the moment or in the future. Be able to create opportunities for people to get employed, get empowered, and become something useful in their society. We don't need more of this Yahoo stuff going where people stealing. We need to be able to create. We need to be able to create hope for people. Let people see that things can actually work out when they are doing it. So if I can be one of many examples that we have right now to motivate others, right? By setting this up, creating other businesses, building something greater in the future that can bring in more people, take more people out of the streets, make them believe in themselves and become, creators, inventors. You know what I'm trying to say? So this is the key motivation. This is the key drive, right? Even at this early stage right now.
I love that. I wouldn't add anything to that because I think that was a beautiful answer. So speaking of these young Africans, right? What message would you like to share with aspiring? I would like to call them African Mavericks. But what message would you have for someone maybe that sees your story and wants to follow in your footpath, or just needs some inspiration from you? What message would you want to give them?
I would say don't limit yourself by status quo, by what you see, what you hear, society, your environment. Don't limit yourself by those things. And of course, opportunities are not equal among ourselves, right? The opportunity that I have to be able to start something, somebody else might not have it, but whatever you should look into yourself and try to figure out what is unique about you. What is that skill that you have that you can use to do something, right? And you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. The skills that people want to look at now are common skills that we have, like we see out there. You don't need more people to join music and sing some kind of songs that's not really doing any good in our society. But you need to pay attention deeply and don't just think about something that is trending. You want to go into what's trending. Pay attention to who you are as a person, what you can offer, what is unique about you. Look around and be passionate about preferring solutions. It doesn't have to be something big, it can be something small, and you can start with what you have. Right? Just start with what you have. Maybe you want to be a creator. You don't have a laptop. You don't have a camera. You don't have any of those things. You can start with your phone. You want to be a digital marketer. You don't necessarily need to have all of the tools. You can start with your phone, right? So start with the list. No matter how little it might seem, just start with what you have. Look inward, figure out what you can offer. Utilize that skill, because you don't have to say, "Oh, I want to have the same skill as this person." No skill is relevant. It's relevant as the skill of somebody else. You have to pay attention to it and then see how you can use it to provide solution to society.
Yeah.
And another thing is have the right people around you at that early stage. Very, very important. Try to be very selective about those that you associate with, so they don't influence your mindset wrongly and take you down the wrong path.
Okay. Thank you for that answer. So the next set of questions I'm gonna ask, actually, I have one serious question, then I'll go into some unconventional questions. That I usually ask a guest to give me a question you want me to ask the next guest. So you're going to give me a question that you want to ask the next guest, then I will ask you the question that the previous guest told me to ask you. By the way, they don't know who. You're not going to know who that person was, and the person that asked this question, you don't know who you are.
That's fine.
All right, but the slogan for African Mavericks is "Bet on your truth."
Say that again.
That's to the slogan for African Mavericks is bet on your truth.
Is that bet on your truth?
Yes. So when you hear bet on your truth, what comes to mind?
That's very heavy. You know, that's term, that statement, bet on your truth. Wow. Wow. I like that. But can you hear me? It's like you're freezing a little bit. Just let me know if you're with me, please.
Can you hear me? I can hear you well.
Alright, I can hear you. So, I mean, when I hear the slogan, when I hear the statements, bet on your truth. So we all as individuals, right? We have what we believe about ourselves, or what we see ourselves as, what we're ambitious for, what we're passionate about, or what we dream about, right? So at a certain stage of our life, those type of things are our truths, right? Those are our realities. This is pretty deep. So, and then I think to cut the whole thing short, right? It basically means the truth that you've told yourself, right? Right? Bet on it in the sense that tell yourself that I bet that I can make this thing happen, right? So it means dare yourself, challenge yourself, right? To actually achieve that goal, to actually be that person that you have told yourself multiple times that you are, especially those times when you believed so much in yourself, right? Challenge yourself to actually live that kind of life that you have told yourself that you want to live. Challenge yourself to become who you've said that you want to be. So I really love this. This is something that I'm going to take with me. You know, it's very, very deep. Basically, it's basically saying, you know, those awesome things that you've told yourself that you have, or that you are, or that you can do, or that you can achieve. Dare yourself to actually do them. Dare yourself to be that person. Bet on it that means just make it, put it as a challenge that you should actually be able to.
Thank you for that answer. Thank you.
I hope I made sense there.
No, yes, definitely. And I'm every answer that I've gotten has been spot on, and yours is spot on as well. Something that you said, which I haven't heard before, is to dare yourself and challenge yourself to go after those things. You know, those things that you've told yourself to be true. Go dare yourself to make it happen. So yeah, thank you for that answer. I love that. So now for some fun questions. Try not to think too deeply about these questions. They may be a little philosophical, but try not to think too deeply about it. If you can't help yourself, go ahead, give me a deep answer. I will be mad at that as well. All right, so if you could describe your life journey in one song or one fruit, or one fruit, what would they be and why?
Describe my life journey in one song or one fruit. Is it or is that and or?
So you can choose to give me both. You can choose to pick one.
I'm trying to think about a song. I don't know.
How about a fruit?
A fruit. You know, because if I'm going to mention a fruit, I have to explain why I picked that fruit. What's unique about it? So,
yeah.
so now I have to think about a song. I mean, there are several amazing songs, but I can't even remember their names. That's crazy. There are several.
No Tupac, no Eminem song comes to mind.
No, that's what I'm saying. that's why I'm saying I'm trying to figure out that specific because they're like is this what was that song that that Eminem featured Lil Wayne on? I think it was
Eminem, Lil Wayne, Drop the Wall.
Yes, the wall.
Yeah, Drop the Wall.
Drop the world, drop the world, drop the world. Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Drop the world. But I don't think that describes my journey per se. But I like the song. But my reason for picking that song is because I mean the lyrics of the song. It basically says that basically what it says behind it to me is taking over, like, you know, taking charge, not limiting possibilities that could like make out of yourself in this world. Although there is some crazy left side to it, but the uniqueness of the song is that particular aspect that I mentioned, that not holding, not limiting myself or limiting yourself by any situation, just taking charge, basically. But you know, I would have liked to pick a better song, but I can't even think about any right now.
Oh.
But if it's a fruit, I don't know what fruit I'm choosing.
I guess you don't eat that many fruits.
No, I do. I actually love the pineapple. I actually like pineapple. I actually like pineapple a lot. My dad had a garden, pineapple garden. They always, we gather us together and put it with us there, and then share it among us, start telling us stories about that kind of stuff. So that made pineapple very, very special to me. But if I were to describe my journey with the fruits, man, what fruit has had ups and downs? I don't know what fruit has ups and downs. Is it the tree? The tree of what fruit has ups and downs?
So ups and downs, I mean bitter and sweet.
I also like the way the pineapple fruit grows. You know,
yeah,
spreads out. The pineapple, when you plant it, the way it's.
Imagine if your life was a book, what title would you give this current chapter?
We'll call it the learning phase.
The learning phase, okay? And what would be the title of the book? You can change it in the future. It doesn't like just anything that comes to mind.
It has to be reasonable. Making it happen. Making it happen. But that's just an idea of what it should be, what it could be. Okay. I'm sure you get it.
Okay, making it happen, and you're currently in the learning phase. I love that. That'll be a nice book to read when it comes out. So,
hey, you just gave me the idea right now. Go ahead.
If you could witness any event of the past, present, or future, what would it be and why? Any event from the past, the present, or the future, what would it be and why?
If I could witness it again.
If you could witness the event, maybe it has not happened, maybe it's currently happening, or maybe it's something that happened in the past. What would it be and why?
Oh man, it's definitely the future. It is, you know, it's that moment when you realize that you're so close, you're much more closer than you were. Like so much closer to that moment where it then happens to actualize all of that stuff that you had as a dream, as a vision. And then it starts actualizing, and then it starts becoming so real that all of these doors to all the other possibilities just starts to you just start to see how it starts becoming real to you, how it starts working. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to do.
I completely understand what you're saying.
That moment when you now see that, wow, this thing is actually happening, because one after the other, all of those things start getting in place, and then you're like, this was what I really wanted. That moment, that is that aha moment that I'm really looking forward to, when everything starts to actualize in a way that makes you to realize that all of those things that you actually hope for can happen, and it's happening. Not just can happen, but it starts happening.
Okay.
And then you now see that you're limitless.
Okay. That's closer than you imagine. It just takes a shift in perspective.
I'm telling you. You start feeling like you're on top of the world. Like, bro, is this really happening? Yeah. All of these things that yeah. So there is nothing much beautiful than just knowing that you're not limited by certain things that were holding you back at one time. Is it the funding? Is it the network? Is it the connection? Is it the people? Is it the environment? All of these things just starts,
making sense.
Okay. Just starts working.
How would you describe the color of your journey so far? Or which color would you use to describe it?
I'm not doing the color. Sorry. I know that there are some people that would interpret all of the colors. But I like yellow. Let me tell you why. I think yellow is bright. And it's it can be dark yellow or but there is it creates the color yellow kind of gives you kind of sparks something within your mind, right? That makes you to feel like there is life here. So sorry, what was the question again? Because I'm now interpreting the color.
No, yeah, you are, and that's the question. How would you describe the color of your journey? What color?
Of my dream.
Of your journey.
Of my journey. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what color to use to describe my journey so far. But how would describe the color that I would use to describe who I'd like to see myself and the journey that I'm aspiring to be in is that color, the yellow color.
Yeah.
Yellow. Because it's kind of sparks something. It can be used as a danger sign. It can also be used as a sign to show that there is possibilities and there is hope. I don't know, but I like yellow.
Okay, yellow it is. All right, last question.
Orange, yellow, optically color, basically.
Yeah. If life is a journey, what kind of vehicle are you traveling in, and what does that say about your approach to life?
No, I don't know. I'm trying to think about a car that is not fast, but just kind of giving you a sense of observing and studying the road. You're able to see, experience people coming out of the bus or walking by the road, and you're able to experience and see the shops along the road, different activities. It gives you enough time. I know that all vehicles can slow down for that, but I'm talking about not a vehicle that's fancy, that speeds, but just the one that allows you to experience even the bumps, the little bumps on the road, the people around, while they're walking and they're vehicle, just the vehicle that allows you to experience every other thing around and experience the ups and the downs,
and it doesn't.
Because I'm not going fast paced, but I'm slowly experiencing everything around me to give me foresight, give me the experience and knowledge that I need as I get towards my destination.
Love that. Now, for the question that the last guest asked, her name is Diana. She's the founder of clean. Clean is a platform that takes the mess out of the cleaning business. Her question was, are you brave enough to speak about the dreams that you secretly always had but never told anyone?
I think I did today. So the thing about me is, I don't always talk about it, but when I do talk about it very passionately. So yes, I'm happy. I'm always happy to talk about dreams.
I would take it a step further. I'll take it a step. Take it a step further, if I may. But is that something you've always had the confidence to, or like that outlandish dream that you had? Is that something you always had the confidence to talk about it, or you had to grow into the confidence to share?
That's a good question. It's funny because I actually always liked to talk about some of these things, but it's crazy because when I was younger, these dreams were there, and I like to talk about it. But then, when reality started coming into when I started meeting reality, and then people were also pointing reality to me, pointing my direction towards, guy, you see what's in the real. What are you saying? Why are you going to start to make this thing happen? I started losing confidence. But then I had to start building back that confidence, because it was easier when I started associating people that have relatable dreams, that were also passionate in that kind of way. So that gave me the confidence to be able to talk about it.
Thank you. I think this brings us officially to the end of the show.